So today we are looking at 2.4 and we are solving some more word problems, but this time they're specifically about what we call consecutive integers. So we do have a definition here. Consecutive integers are integers that follow each other in order. So just stuff that you see on a number line. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That also includes negative numbers. So it could also include negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, and so on. Okay, so all integers here are included, all whole numbers. The way that we represent this in general terms is we start with x, that is our first integer. So no matter what number it is, because we won't know what it is yet, we start with x. So we just call the very first one x. So looking at our example with 1, if 1 was x, how would I get from 1 to the next number, which is 2? I would add 1. So that means to get to the next number after x, I take x and add 1. To get to the next number in our example up here, 3, I would add 1 again. So if I'm starting at 1, in order to get to 3, I have to add 1, 2. So my next number would be x plus 2. To get to the next number in our example, 4, I would add 1 again. So this time, if I'm starting at the first one, I have to add 1, 2, 3 times to get to the next integer. And that continues on and on and on. And we will be using this general form to solve the problems. It's true no matter what number you start with for x. Okay, for the example, we just used 1. But you could start with 50, and it would still give you the next number. Because 50, so if x is 50, 50 plus 1 gives me 51. 50 plus 2 gives me 52. 50 plus 3 gives me 53, and so on. So it always works no matter what number you plug in for x. We also have what's called consecutive odd or even integers, and we're also going to use the same rule here. Consecutive odd or even integers are either odd integers or even integers that follow each other in order. So for example, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, those are the evens, or if you were looking at odds, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So it's either even numbers or odd numbers that go in order. Now to look at this in general terms, if 2 is the number I'm starting with, so if I call that x, in order to get to the next number 4, this time I'm adding 2. In order to get to the next number 6, I'm adding 2 again, which means to get from 2 to 6, I have to add 2, 4. To get to the next number, I add 2 again, which means starting at 2, I have to add 2, 4, 6 to get to the next number. And the same thing is true for odd numbers. Even though they're odd, if I start at 1, to get to 3, I have to add 2. To get from 3 to 5, I add 2 again, which means if I want to start at 1, I have to add 2, 4 in order to get to 5. To get to the next number 7, I have to add 2 again, which means if I start at 1, I have to add 2, 4, 6 in order to get to 7. So if you're looking at consecutive odd or even integers, you're actually adding 2 each time because we have to skip over a number every time. So if x is our first number, x plus 2 is the second, x plus 4 gives us the next one, and x plus 6 gives us the next one, and so on and so on. So if we're looking at just plain consecutive integers, we just add 1 each time. So we start at x, and we go to x plus 1, the next number is x plus 2, the next number is x plus 3, so on and so on and so on. If we're looking at odd or even integers, it doesn't matter. You're still going to use this same general form. We start at x, but we have to skip over the next number to get to the next odd or even, so that's going to be x plus 2. The number after that, we have to skip over another number, so we go x plus 4. And then the next one would be x plus 6, and so on and so on. So let's look at example 1. Example 1 says, the sum of two consecutive integers is 83. What are the integers? Please make sure that you write down the question in all of the words so that you know what the question is. So we're looking at the sum, which means we're going to be adding the two numbers together, of two consecutive integers. So we're not looking at odd or even, we're just looking at consecutive. So there's two of them. So we're going to have x be our first one. And if we're looking at consecutive integers only, our second number is going to be x plus 1. That's what it says in our general form that we wrote at the top up here. Our first integer is x, and our next one would be x plus 1. So for this problem, we're going to take x and x plus 1, and it tells us we want to add them together. So I'm going to get x plus 1 equals 83. So I'm going to set that equal to 83, and then just solve like we have been doing since the first day of school. So I want to combine like terms here. X plus x gives me 2x plus 1 equals 83. I'm going to come up here. So now this is just a two-step equation. So I subtract 1 from both sides. So I get 2x equals 82. Divide both sides by 2. So x equals 41. Now, our question says, what are the integers? That's just one of them, 41. To find the other one, I need to plug it into x plus 1. So x plus 1 is equal to 42. So my two integers are 41 and 42. We can check this by doing a quick check. 41 and 42 are consecutive. And if we add the two together, we get 2 plus 1 gives me 3, 4 plus 4 gives me 8. So we get 83 if we add the two together. So make sure that you check all of your answers to that, so that they add up to the correct number, because that's a really easy way to make sure you got the right answer. So example number 2. The sum of two consecutive integers, so we're looking for a sum again, at two consecutive integers is 179. What are the integers? So since I'm looking at consecutive integers again, this is basically almost exactly the same as example 1. So my two integers, we don't know what they are yet, so I'm going to call them x, and the next one is x plus 1. And what we want to do is we want to add them together, x plus 1, and that equals 179. We combine like terms to get 2x plus 1 equals 179. Subtract 1 from both sides, so that gives us 2x equals 178. And then divide both sides by 2 to give me x equals 89. So that means my next integer, x plus 1, is 80, or 90. So my answer should be 89 and 90. Let's check that. So I want to add 89 plus 90. 9 plus 0 gives me 9. 8 plus 9 gives me 17. So 179. So that checks out. Example 3. Example 3 says the sum of two consecutive, so we're looking at sum again, two consecutive even integers, so this time we're going to be looking at even integers, is 130. What are the two integers? So if I'm looking at two consecutive even integers, my first one, it will always be x. But to get to the next even integer, I have to add 2 to x. So instead of the previous example, where I had x and x plus 1, I actually have x and x plus 2. So I'm going to add both of those together, x plus 2, and it's supposed to come out to 130. So I'm going to combine like terms here. X plus x gives me 2x plus 2 equals 130. Subtract 2 from both sides. So I get 2x equals 128. Divide both sides by 2. So I get x equals 64. Now this is where I see a lot of students make a mistake. They forget that we're looking at even integers. So you want to do a quick check right now, is my number even? And it is. So the next even integer after 64 would be 66. So my two integers are 64 and 66. Let's do a quick check and add those together. So 64 plus 66. 4 plus 6 gives me 10. And if I carry the 1, 6 plus 6 is 12, and 1 is 13. So that checks out. Example 4. So example 4 says the sum of two consecutive odd integers, so we're looking at consecutive odd integers, is 204. What are the integers? Now the thing about odd and even integers is that the general form is the same. So if I start with x, in order to get to the next odd integer, I have to add 2 because I need to skip over that one even one in between the two of them. So when I add x plus 2, I'm supposed to equal 204. So combining like terms gives me 2x plus 2 equals 204. Subtract 2 from both sides, so I get 2x equals 202. And then divide both sides by 2 to get x equals 101. First of all, is that an odd integer? Yes, it is. So we have to find the next one, x plus 2, which gives me 103. So my two integers should be 101 and 103. Now do a quick check on those. 101 plus 103 gives me 1 plus 3 gives me 4, 0 plus 0 gives me 0, and 1 plus 1 gives me 2. So it checks out. Example 5. This time we're looking at a few more integers being involved. We're looking at the sum of 3 consecutive integers, and the sum of those is 24. So we're looking at 3 integers this time. It's just 3 regular consecutive, so we're not worried about odd or even. So if my first integer is x, my next one is going to be x plus 1, because I'm just looking for the next number. And the next number after that is x plus 2. So I'm going to take x plus 1 plus x plus 2, and that's going to equal 24. Now let's combine like terms. I have x plus x plus x, so that gives me 3x. Plus 1 plus 2 gives me plus 3 equals 24. Subtract 3 from both sides, and that's going to give me 3x equals 21. Divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 7. So then the next integer, x plus 1, would equal 8. And the next one after that, x plus 2, would equal 9. So my answer is 7, 8, and 9. Let's do a quick check. So check this. 7 plus 8 plus 9 equals. Well, 7 plus 8 gives me 15 plus 9, and 15 plus 9 gives me 24. So we got the correct answer. Last one, example 6. We're looking for a sum of 3 consecutive odd integers, and they should all add up to 87. So since we're looking for 3 consecutive odd integers, my first one should be x. I have to skip the next even integer, so my next one would be x plus 2. And then I have to skip another even integer, so that would give me x plus 4. So I'm going to add all of those together, x plus 2 plus x plus 4, and we want it to equal 87. So combining like terms, I have x plus x plus x, so 3x, and then 2 plus 4 gives me plus 6 equals 87. Subtract 6 from both sides, and that gives me 3x equals 81. Divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 27. So then my next odd integer, x plus 2, 27 plus 2 gives me 29. And x plus 4, 27 plus 4 gives me 31. So my answer is 27, 29, 31. So let's do a quick check there. These are all mentally, let's check it. We wanted odd integers, 27, 29, 31 are all odd. So then let's check that they all add up to 87. So 27 plus 29 plus 31 equals 7 plus 9 gives me 16, carry the 1. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 31. 6 plus 1 gives me 7, and 5 plus 3 gives me 8. So we got the correct answers. That is consecutive integers and consecutive odd and even integers. Remember, if we are looking at consecutive integers, the general form is x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3, and so on. If we're looking at odd or even integers, we start with x, and then we have x plus 2, x plus 4, and x plus 6. So your homework tonight is from the big textbook, page 104, numbers 1 through 7 all, so you only have 7 problems. But then you also have worksheet 4 all. So make sure that you give me page 104 and worksheet 4 for tomorrow.